Joining us now is Steve Coll. He's a staff writer at The New Yorker and the dean of the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism. His new book is Directorate S, the CIA and America's Secret Wars in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Steve, what is Directorate S?
It's the covert action arm of Pakistani intelligence. The main service is called Inter-Services Intelligence. The CIA worked with them during the 1980s to smuggle guns and money to the Afghan rebels who were fighting the Soviet occupation. After 2001, as we tried to restore constitutional democracy to Afghanistan, ISI fostered the revival of the Taliban and ended up creating the mess that we're in now.
So there's a reason you picked that theme for the rest of the book. What's happening right now, you've seen some really terrible terrorist attacks over the past 2 weeks in Afghanistan. What's driving the violence right now?
Well, it's been a rough couple of years, and there are groups based in Pakistan, the Haqqani Network and others, that have continually carried out mass casualty attacks in Kabul in order to unsettle the government, make themselves felt. The Trump administration has changed policy toward Pakistan, suspended aid. There's some speculation in Afghanistan that maybe the terrible attacks we've seen recently are retaliation for that, a kind of signaling. But
is that wishful thinking or is that real?
It's possible. I mean, ISI has a record of carrying out mass casualty attacks in order to send a signal about where the war is going and their interest in it. But it's also possible that these are just terrorist attacks of the type we've been seeing too often over the last year.
Now, the president tweeted that he was going to be doing something about the aid you just mentioned. They ended up suspending about $900 million, complaining Pakistan has given us nothing but lies and deceit. Does he have clearer eyes than past presidents who've been more careful in their language?
Well, I can understand the frustration about Pakistan's conduct, but of course Pakistan has also been a partner in counterterrorism over the last 10 years and has carried out arrests of important al-Qaeda leaders, even while succoring the Taliban's revival. So it's a complicated picture. There's a history of imposing sanctions on Pakistan to try to change its conduct. It's not a very happy one. It doesn't tend to work, and the reaction to the latest pressure has just been another kind of response of deep nationalism and defiance of the United States. The problem is our leverage in Pakistan is not what it used to be. It may never have been enough to change Pakistan's sense of where its interests lie in Afghanistan, but right now, Pakistan's most important ally by far is China, and China has had Pakistan's back through many episodes of this type before.
And perhaps can offset whatever the U.S. may be pulling back?
And then some, yeah.
So Presidents Bush, Obama, now Trump have all wanted to draw down and then realized they needed to recommit, they thought, to this war in Afghanistan. I was just there in December with the vice president who said we're going to stay until the last terrorist. Is this a forever war?
It's looking like it. We keep doing the same things and expecting different results. Our war aims have been a muddle really since the fall of the Taliban. We haven't been able to align our resources and capabilities with the goals that we're trying to achieve. And so for example, we often say, the generals that go over and lead the war will say, we can't find a military solution against the Taliban. I think it was David Petraeus who said, you can't capture and kill your way out of an industrial strength insurgency.
Well, the president said this week, too early to talk.
Yeah, too early, yeah. And so we keep prioritizing military action even as we acknowledge that it's not likely to end the war. So I do fear that the latest turn in policy is really not much of a departure from what the Bush administration and the Obama administration struggled with.
Is it oversimplifying things to compare this to Vietnam?
Not really. You know, that Ken Burns documentary that came out in the fall, I watched it after, spending 5-10 years on this book, and it really made me sad because there's so much repetition of the pattern in Vietnam, fighting for honor and failing to let the facts guide where the war is really going. And of course, they're very different countries, very different times of history, and the American people have supported this war more than they did in Vietnam, and so that's allowed governments, one after another, to continue it. But there are parallels.
Steve Coll, thank you very much. The book is Directorate S, well worth a read. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Margaret.
And we will be right back.